Good evening. On Xtreme Trail Talk tonight, Kalahari Augrabies Xtreme Marathon, day 5. And it was a hot day. Dallas, how hot was it?
Well, Simon, I think today the Kalahari delivered. Most runners were expecting heat from day one, and they were fortunate enough to only taste the Kalahari heat today. I think temperatures were, some guys measured 35 to 40 degrees. So, yeah, the heat really came into play today.
And that took its toll at the top of the board, eh?
Yes, it did. I think Benny was playing a strategic race today. He kind of just let Xavi do a lot of the hard work, and he just sat back knowing he's got a comfortable lead. He just protected it today.
So Xavi actually won a stage. So yeah, he came in first, 8 minutes ahead of Benny.
Yeah.
And then Mark Curtis still in third, Marius van Sale in fourth, and Andy Williams from Great Britain in fifth place. Where did Andy suddenly come from? He's been lurking in the sort of top 7. Eh?
Yeah, I think it was Andy's day today.
It was.
I think he actually said when he woke up this morning, he felt this was his day. And it obviously shows that, you know, he believed in himself, and he just went out there and had a good day.
And that's no mean feat under the circumstances. I would imagine it must have been very hard to stay on the pace when it was sort of getting towards 11, 12 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, you know, I think the front runners are disadvantaged at the beginning of the day. They start much later than the front of the back, the back markers at least, and you know, they start in the heat of the day, and they have to run 90% of their day in really hot condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at the ladies? Well, nothing seems to have changed much there. Erica still way out in front. She took a bit of an interesting turn. She managed to add about 6 Ks to her day. She passed us and she said, well, she's getting value for money. And then Estelle and Tuzi stuck it out together. It seems they made some sort of pact because they got exactly the same times for the day. Kim holding on to 4th place, and Alti hanging on to a solid 5th there.
I don't think anything could go wrong with Erica's race from here on in. Tuzi and Estelle have signed a deal, as is to who's going 2nd on the podium and 3rd. So I think that shows a little camaraderie there.
Yeah.
You know, they're not fighting for anything, and Kim just having a good time out there. You know, she's an awesome ambassador for this race. If you think about 2015 and 2016, the weather this year has been a blessing for most people.
Yeah.
I honestly do think so. I think if temperatures were like they were today, there would be a lot more casualties.
Yeah.
And you can see that we've only lost 1, so which is a good thing for the runners out there. They, you know, they've come here to finish this thing, and tomorrow, at some point, they're all going to cross the finish line and they're going to be ecstatic.
But make no mistake, it's still a hell of a tough event. Doesn't really, you know, take anything away from it. The fact that they've had these conditions, you know, one has to swing one thing against the other. Getting back from the long day at sort of 3, 4 in the morning, the temperatures around our campsite were probably around 3, 4 degrees. Now, if you're carrying all your own kit and you having to compromise on certain things, and you think you're going into a hot environment,
absolutely,
then you're suddenly left with a 3, 4 degree in the middle of the night scenario.
Yeah,
that's a game changer.
Absolutely, because you're not going to get a good night's rest.
Yeah,
you know, you're going to be tossing and turning, and you know it's cold. So that also plays on your rest for the next day. You're bargaining on warm temperatures all the way through. So the decision you make on the start might have an impact on 2, 3 days down the line where temperatures drop, and then you just got to live with those consequences. You know, you got to side up next to your sleeping partner, and hopefully you can put in a good few hours of sleep and be recharged for the morning.
Yeah. I see the guys saw a hell of a lot of wildlife out there today.
Yeah, apparently there was some really good wildlife. Obviously the heat has brought them out. Why that is, only the rangers would know.
you know, the terrain just changes all the time. We have, if you think, this is such an interesting desert because it goes from your vast open plains to suddenly your wildly rocky areas with massive undulations and uneven ground. It's not a typical desert. I suppose that's why it's called the Green Kalahari.
Yeah. You know, the viewers out there watching this, it's not an MDS, it's not sand. The terrain changes all the time. Whether you're going down into the sort of the gorges or up on the plains, as you can see there, it almost looks flat, but there are rolling hills. The shrub is very low at the moment. And I think that also brings in a little part. There's no shade for the runners to hide. You know, if they're tired, they can't just find a little shrub to sit underneath and catch a respite from the heat.
Yeah. The one thing you are guaranteed with this event is sand.
And lots of it.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough to be on a quad bike, but every now and again I do sections of marking up gorges and riverbeds, and I'm walking with very light equipment, and it's tough. It's tough going. Those guys that are thinking about training on beaches and that kind of thing, you have no idea what the sand is like. It's unlike anything.
Yeah, and it sucks you in places.
Absolutely. You're expending so much energy every step you're taking because you're not getting a nice firm push off. So your foot's dropping down into the sand. So that's every step is a little bit of an energy sucker.
Yeah. And then, of course, when you get into these rocky riverbeds, and the air stands still.
Yeah, well, there's no movement there.
Yeah. And it takes your breath away.
Absolutely. So there's no air movement in there. The heat's radiating from the bottom, from the sides, and from the top. So you're literally encompassed by the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had a couple of chirps from the chaps as well at the water points. Shall we see what they had to say?
Yeah, and I think they're going to be world-class chips.
Perfect. Thank you.
Nah, taking it easy.
Okay.
Yeah. What time were you on the road today?
Do you want to go?
8. Just falling over my... Can't exactly do what I want to do.
Yeah. Getting a little bit hot. To be expected.
Get in there. One step at a time, eh?
Enjoy.
She's going to do a song and dance? Yeah.
Yeah, she said she was going to. I laughed so much at the snoring last night.
In the beginning, it was just brilliant.
We just are halfway and still no trouble, so it's good.
Where'd you go?
Better, but I want to get this out of the way today, so I'm on a mission to finish it.
I'm afraid from the heat, so drinking. The second day I had a surprise.
There are no limits. If you think you can, what the fucking lie? Of course there are limits. There are always limits.
I'm just going to read the road book while I'm walking.
My lavender oil.
Hey. Hello, guys.
How's it going?
Hey. Good. How are you?
Great. We have a plan today, and it's going to plan today.
So far, one checkpoint at a time.
Oh, you have?
So next checkpoint is the last one. The next is the last. There's about 8 in between each one.
Nearly there. Can't effing believe this. I've been told to cut down on the F-bombs.
You can use them as much as you like.
Yes, fucking A! Wow! Kalahari!
I will do this. Stay lucky. Woo! I enjoyed too much. Good rhythm. The sound good. Salts, water, and then at the end, a little push, and I saw 6 giraffes, gameboks, springbok, many impala, many. Very good. Awesome. Kalahari, yeah.
It was hot today.
But good. I'm glad we're here now. Well done, my man. Well done. Well done. Thanks. Thanks. Keep on pushing.
When I the CP is a little down.
Yeah.
And I stop a little, but just and I try to continue and.
He saw I was weak today, and then he attacked.
No, weak no.
It's good.
Amazing.
Thanks very much. There you go, lay down. Better than anticipated, but yeah, very, very good day, thank you.
Good job.
Oh my gosh, now that was tough. It was easy until he caught me. I just wanted to do it on a cruise and play it safe with my first place. And he was the only who could have caught me. So when he caught me with 6 days to go, I knew this is the moment I have to go, whatever happens.
Yeah, I made him work hard for it. It was like shit on a blanket, he just wouldn't let go.
That was like hard. That really was.
I took a wrong turn, so I would have been, fortunately, otherwise I would have been a lot bleaker. But yeah, lekker, nice day.
This is the real Kalahari, I shoot.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Thanks, Kim.
So amazing.
Well done, Pete. Yeah, well done.
Thank you so
Alright,
much.
well done.
That was amazing. Well
Great.
done. Daddy, thanks for the sleep.
Super. Excellent. Well done.
Oh, these guys are the best. I'm very tired now, but the plan worked. I think the racer's back has been broken.
Auntie drew up the plan, and I executed it. It's all down to me. She had nothing to do with the whole day. She pulled me along all day.
Looks like there's still a dice on for 4th and 5th place in the men's.
Absolutely.
Between Pavel and Russell.
Yes. And to be quite honest with you, my money's on the local boy from Appington, Russell, Rusty Balls, Nugent.
8 minutes.
8 minutes and 25 Ks. Russell's he's just been getting stronger every day.
He is, eh? He's just come through every single day, better and better and better.
Absolutely, and like he said to me at one of the checkpoints, he said he knows the area, he knows where they're going from day to day, so he knows kind of what's coming, terrain-wise. He's had a smart race, he really has. He started really conservatively, and he's just built his way up into potentially a 4th place, which, you know, if you look at those names, Benny Roo, Shavy, Pavel, some
top boys.
Top boys, yeah. And he's just a local optometrist in Uppington, you know, which is surprising.
And now they've got nothing in their packs. I mean, they've eaten. Hopefully, they've eaten everything they had.
It's tonight there's a big feasting camp. I know when my wife did it last year, they requested a cold fire. So the boys, the fire camp guys, made a fire and they put a torch inside. Because they didn't want any more heat. So I'm assuming tonight there might be another cold fire, and the guys are going to be scoffing and swapping food if they want, you know, bartering out or just smashing everything they got.
Going to be a noodle
so lighten up the pack and pin the ears back and go.
They're going to be running like stairbricks to the finish.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. You know, the guys, everybody sniffs home, from the top guys to the Julians, the Nadias. All they want to see is the finish line tomorrow morning. Yeah.
It's going to be a good day.
It's going to be a fantastic day. It's going to be filled with emotion. I know there are a couple of people, especially Estienne. I think Estienne is going to be super proud of his wife.
Yeah, well, I've got my missus running in there as well, and I'm super proud
absolutely,
as well.
Yeah, it's not her first time round
awesome
either.
To see her cross
not
that
her first
line.
rodeo.
And she's had a good year.
Debbie's had a fantastic year.
Yeah.
Which is so wonderful to see, honestly. You know, the likes of Nadia, her first attempt.
Yeah.
Debbie, her first one. She's come back and she's loved. She's never had a bad day out there.
No.
She's always had a smile on her face.
Yeah. She's been beaming the whole
Absolutely.
way. And running it.
And running, yeah.
Awesome.
Just shows you, you know, you can't do this event once.
No.
You know, the first time you cut your teeth, and you come back and you iron out all the little nitty-gritty things that you didn't quite get right the first time, and you've got to come back and do it the second time.
Yeah. Well, entries are open So go to our website, www.kaem.co.za. Have a look at our entry forms, get your entries in. Next year is going to be a biggie. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow night when we talk about the last day, the final day of the Kalahari Augrabies Xtreme Marathon 2018. See you then. Good night.